The galactic combat arena hummed with energy shields and plasma. Barriers as representatives from 73 species gathered for the Intersystem Defense Exhibition. Anna Chun stood in the human delegations corner, her fingers wrapped around something that made the other species military advisors tilt their heads in confusion. It was a bow. A compound bow, to be precise. But to the assembled aliens who wielded particle accelerators and molecular disruptors, it might as well have been a sharp stick. Is that ... wood and string? Chittered Vexter, a Calithian weapons master whose 4 arms each held a different energy weapon. His mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among his kind. Anna smiled politely. Synthetic carbon fiber, actually. And the string is Kevlar braided with spider silk proteins. How quaint, hissed Commander Xyloth, a reptilian saurine whose scales shimmered with built-in combat shielding. Does it also come with a nice leather pouch for throwing rocks? The crowd erupted in the various sounds of alien amusement chirps, whistles, harmonic resonances. Even Alexander Morrison, the human military attaché standing beside Anna, shifted uncomfortably. He'd argued against this demonstration, worried it would make humanity look backward to species that had been traveling the stars for millennia. The demonstration grounds are prepared, announced the arbitrator, a crystalline being that served as the neutral host. Each species will display their premier combat technology. Calithian Vexter, you may begin. What followed was an impressive display of destructive power. Vexter-S weapons carved through reinforced barriers, disintegrated combat drones, and created localized gravity wells that crushed targets into singularities. The crowd responded with respectful silence, the kind reserved for genuinely dangerous things. One by one, species demonstrated weapons that bent physics, rewrote matter at the molecular level, or simply deleted portions of space-time where targets had been standing. Alexander found himself sweating despite the climate-controlled environment. How could a bow compete with this? Human delegation, the arbitrator chimed. You may proceed. Anna walked to the firing line with an easy confidence that seemed almost naive to those watching. She carried no power pack, no ammunition belt, no external battery source. Just the bow, a quiver with 20 arrows, and a small data pad strapped to her wrist. I'll need a volunteer, Anna announced. Someone wearing personal shielding. Commander Xyloth slithered forward, his scales gleaming with active defensive fields. I volunteer to humor this primitive display. My shields can withstand direct hits from plasma artillery. Perfect, Anna said, nocking an arrow. Please stand at the 200-meter mark. Xyloth positioned himself at the designated distance, his posture radiating smug confidence. His shields flickered visibly, a shimmering curtain of energy that had turned aside countless lethal attacks. Anna drew the bow. The motion was fluid, practiced, almost meditative. Her breathing steadied. The compound bow's cams rotated as she reached full draw. And something changed in the arena. It started with the predator species, Cathara. A feline warrior race known for their hunting prowess suddenly went rigid. Her pupils dilated to full moons. Every hair on her body stood erect. A low growl escaped her throat, not of aggression, but of recognition. The insectoid Vring warrior's antennae snapped to attention, their chitinous bodies freezing in place. Ancient genetic memory triggered deep in their neural clusters. Danger. Real danger. Even Vexter, who had been lounging confidently, felt his combat instincts fire. His forearms tensed, weapons half raised before his conscious mind caught up to his reflexes. Alexander saw it too. Every predator species in the arena had suddenly focused entirely on Anna, not with curiosity or amusement. With the wariness of one apex predator recognizing another, Anna released. The arrow moved faster than most beings could track. But it wasn't just the speed that made Xyloth's shield scream in protest. The arrow's tip had been designed based on humanity's oldest and most refined skill. Making things dead dot, the shaft vibrated at a frequency calculated to disrupt shield harmonics. The tip, hardened with techniques borrowed from ancient Japanese sword-making, concentrated force into a molecular point. As it struck Xyloth's shield, the arrow didn't try to overwhelm the energy barrier with brute force dot. It simply ignored it. The shield flickered, destabilized, and failed for a fraction of a second, just long enough for the arrow to pass through and embed itself in the reinforced barrier behind Xyloth. Exactly 3 centimeters from where his primary heart would have been, the arena fell silent. Anna had already knocked another arrow. That was a demonstration of precision, she said calmly. She adjusted her stance slightly, drew, and released in one smooth motion. The second arrow split the first down its length, a perfect recreation of the legendary Robin Hood shot. That was demonstration of consistency, she continued, already drawing a third arrow. This is demonstration of adaptation. She tapped her data pad. The arrow's tip split into 3 separate points mid-flight, each one striking a different target drone simultaneously. And this, Anna said, drawing a 4th time, is why humanity is dangerous. She didn't aim at a target. She aimed at empty space. But her eyes were calculating something: wind patterns, care density, the slight gravitational variance caused by the station's rotation. She released. The arrow curved through the air in what should have been an impossible trajectory. It bounced off 3 different barriers, each impact calculated and intentional, before finally striking the primary power coupling for the arena's shield generator. Non-lethal, but devastating if this were real combat. Alexander watched as understanding dawned across dozens of alien faces. This wasn't about the weapon being advanced or primitive. This was about the human behind it. Humans had spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of making projectiles go where they wanted, how they wanted, with whatever they had available. They'd started with rocks and worked their way up. Every generation refined the technique, passed down the knowledge, improved the design. Your energy weapons are impressive, Anna said, lowering her bow. But they require power sources, charging time, cooling periods. They can be disrupted by electromagnetic pulses, overloaded, or run dry. She held up an arrow. This requires only gravity, physics, and human intent. It works in vacuum, underwater, in electromagnetic storms. It's silent. It leaves no energy signature. And I can make more from materials available on any habitable planet. Cathara, the feline warrior, was the first to speak. Your predator instinct, she said slowly, her voice carrying a new respect. It's not in your fangs or claws. It's in your mind. You turn everything into a weapon. Even patience. Even precision. Especially patience, Alexander added quietly, finally understanding what Anna had been trying to demonstrate. Humanity didn't reach the stars first. We weren't the strongest or the fastest. But we're still here because we learned that survival isn't about having the best tool. It's about being the best tool user. Vexter lowered his weapons slowly. I withdraw my mockery, he clicked. A warrior who has spent a lifetime mastering their weapon is far more dangerous than one who simply purchases the latest technology. The arbitrator chimed thoughtfully. The human demonstration is ... noted, with considerable interest. As the delegates filed out, conversations erupted in dozens of languages. The humans were no longer the amusing primitives playing with antique weapons. They were the species that had weaponized patience, precision, and adaptability. The species that could turn a bent stick and string into a targeted threat assessment. Nightmare for every combat computer in the galaxy. Anna carefully unstrung her bow and smiled at Alexander. Still think this was a bad idea? Alexander shook his head, watching as several delegates requested private meetings with the human military attach. "I think we just changed how 73 species view humanity." "Good," Anna replied, "because this was just the bow. Wait until they see what we can do with a knife." The predator species in earshot visibly shuddered. They understood now. Humanity wasn't dangerous because of what they carried. They were dangerous because of what they were. A species that had evolved not just to survive, but to innovate survival itself into an art-form dot, and that was far more terrifying than any energy weapon could ever be.